Another day, another terrible TikTok challenge that had some serious repercussions for two teenagers as they ended up in the hospital. I had a bunch of friends who did stupid stuff like this growing up, but I consider them lucky because nothing that bad happened to them. But in this current generation, they are unfortunate enough to have platforms like TikTok. It takes all the stupid stuff that my generation, the generations before us did as kids, and they make them look cool and make it seem like a challenge for the youth to try. So before we get into this video, I need to drop a quick disclaimer saying, if you do anything that we cover in this video, you are a moron. Don't do this. We don't condone this behavior, nor do we want this behavior to happen. You could say this video is for research purposes as we are looking into the stupid behavior that happened because of the internet culture. So today we're looking at two different TikTok challenges that sadly had similar outcomes because they were similar challenges. And the first one coming out of Alabama, where a woman by the name of Tiffany Crutcher rescued her son, Atozy, with her bare hands after he became engulfed in flames. How did this happen? Well, apparently he saw a TikTok challenge where teenagers were pouring rubbing alcohol onto their hands and body and then lighting it on fire. What could go wrong? Well, apparently it seems like he lit the fire while he was still pouring the alcohol, so the fire traveled up the bottle and blew up the bottle, covering him in flaming alcohol. Tiffany told the New York Post that she was immediately there because she heard the explosion, terrifying as a parent to hear that coming out of the bathroom. And the New York Post wrote about it saying, unfortunately, the shocking stunt did not turn out well for the 13-year-old who suffered injuries on 45% of his body from the waist up, with third and second degree burns on his stomach, chest, face, and neck. Tiffany recalled her son running out of the bathroom, panicking. I tried to put him out with my hands first, she said. We were taught to stop, drop, and roll, so I tried that. It didn't work. Eventually, her youngest child, Zaylin, handed her a fire extinguisher she used to put out the flames. Shout out Zaylin for potentially saving his brother's life. He was completely on fire from the waist up, Tiffany revealed. It was terrifying. And afterward, Tiffany barely recognized her son. His face looked very bad for me. His face was so swollen, she recalled to Kennedy News, it was awful. I was in shock. His arms were the worst. They were burned third degree, full thickness, all the way around and down both arms, she continued. Doctors had to cut incisions along the child's arms to allow circulation from the swelling. What an absolute nightmare. This goes to show that you really need to teach your kids from an early age. Don't do stupid stuff you see on the internet. The mother of three remembered setting candles around the house because a storm was approaching the area and could knock out their power. However, that's when her son took it as an opportunity to pursue the life-threatening stunt. After Atozy snagged a lit candle, he found alcohol in a bathroom cabinet and sparked the flames. And of course, to make everything worse, this kid now has to go to therapy to learn how to use his hands and arms again. He said that he was just experimenting. He didn't know that it would explode. He's into science. He didn't know it would do that. He just wanted to see what it could do. And the investigators did confirm that he got this idea to do this from a TikTok challenge. The mother did say that she's tried to warn her son from doing other stupid TikTok challenges in the past, like the whole blackout challenge. But apparently he only listened to not doing that challenge and took it upon himself to do another challenge. I mean, hey, we were all young and dumb once, and unfortunately some people have to find out the hard way. I almost died as a 13-year-old because I was standing on a ledge, which was a dirt ledge. We were kind of staring down I would say like an 80-degree drop, so you would slide down of just loose dirt all the way down. I was all the way on the edge. My friends were like, hey, you shouldn't probably be standing on that edge. So I was like, oh really? So I started jumping like a moron, and essentially a whole chunk of dirt standing on that edge around me just collapsed through. So I slid probably 150 yards down, and I caught myself in a Norwegian plant called the brennnesle, which is essentially a weaker version of poison ivy. So I remember clawing at that, and I caught myself in the roots of that, and that stopped me going halfway down the hill. If I kept going down, I would have fallen off a rock cliff and wouldn't be making videos like this for you guys today. So sometimes you just have to do something very stupid and learn from it, because guess what? I have never stood on a ledge ever again, and especially not jumped. But that resulted in me tearing off a whole bunch of my skin from my chest, a whole bunch from my arms, and it took me about an hour and a half, I think, to climb back up that ridge, which was terrifying. So personally, I'm just very happy I didn't have viral TikTok challenges to follow growing up, because that was my own stupidity. But it says that her son spent 1 month in a hospital and has received 4 skin grafts. What a terrible experience for him, with 2 more years before complete recovery. The kid must go to a burn clinic and therapy for treatment. He's learning how to use his hands and arms again. The pain from it and going through the therapy upsets him because he knows he has a long road to recovery. She also admitted that she isn't hard on her 13-year-old after the incident, as kids make mistakes and he is beating himself up about it. He's traumatized. He gets into moods and says he doesn't know why he did it, she said. There's sadly no real solution to this because kids do stupid stuff. The only thing you can try to put in place is to make sure they don't do something they see on the internet without talking to a responsible adult first. Because if they had someone they looked up to and they approached and said, hey, this trend is going viral on TikTok. Can we do this? And the adult said, well, unless you want to risk going to burn therapy for 2 years, maybe you shouldn't do that. Most likely the kid wouldn't have done it. But speaking of the burn unit, another kid ended up there because of another TikTok challenge, which isn't only a TikTok challenge, it's something that kids have been doing for decades, which is incredibly stupid, but has again been popularized and viralized on platforms like TikTok.
Mason Dark's 16, and like other guys his age, he likes to have fun.
See all the boys? That's so cool. Like, I mean, this is where they hang out.
He's also an athlete who makes his family proud. But his reaction to a social media challenge last Sunday has him recuperating in the UNC hospital's burn unit. It appears he used a spray paint can and a lighter in an attempt to generate flames like a blowtorch.
Oh no, again, that has been around for ages, but you're essentially playing Russian roulette because as soon as fire enters that can, it's blowing up in your hands.
We always think we know everything. And that's hard with the challenges, and they see these things. They see these things on social media. They see all these different people doing it, and it, for them, like, it's fine. The people do it and they're okay. But it just takes that one time for someone to try it or for something to go wrong.
Flames sparked by that dangerous combination burned Mason on nearly 80% of his body. His mother told us he jumped into the same water seen here near a Raleigh Greenway to put the fire out. And with news of the fire spreading fast on social media,
I mean, the spray paint and lighters and like all of that, that's been going on, you know, for years and years.
Oh, that is a lose-lose for him. Keep burning or jump in the water and risk infections. Yeah, I guess don't put yourself in that position to begin with. So obviously the best move here is to not put yourself in that position to begin with, but I'm assuming he probably picked the best decision because the longer he burns, the more damage it's going to be. Infections can be treated, most of them at least. So yeah, that's definitely being stuck between a rock and a hard place. So if there's a takeaway from this, don't do any stupid stuff you see on TikTok. It can save you a whole bunch of pain. Overall, we're just living in such an interesting time. People are just being incentivized to do more and more crazy stuff. I have a video coming up with 2 guys who filled their entire school's HVAC system up with fart spray for attention on the internet, I guess. And then you have Mizzy, who allegedly hijacked the train. I don't really know the details around that, if the train was already stopped or if he opened that panel while it was moving. We're just living in a very weird time, and I hope that things get better, but I also sadly know it's not. We're just going full steam ahead, all gas into the insanity. But hey, at least we'll be here to cover it. But speaking of terrible TikTok trends, this trend ended up having 10 kids hospitalized all at once in the same place, where one of the largest influencers who was pushing this trend had tens of millions of followers. So you can check that wild story out here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Oh.